Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel Physics Surgery, and here we are in AITS Select series where I've brought forward a question on Doppler effect on intensity, but here we are going to look at plane wavefronts. If you remember and you're part of my channel 1 or 2 months back, I have already brought forward to you a Pathfinder Solutions problem in which we discussed the spherical wavefronts and the intensity effect by the Doppler effect. Okay, so that was slightly difficult problem because you know that spherical wavefronts actually change their area as the sound propagates from one place to another place. Okay, that was a 3-part video, and the 3-part video, this is the thumbnail for part 2, which was out of the 3 the most difficult one. So you could see the part 1 is in the I button at the top somewhere, I think, and also all the 3 parts I have placed the links in the description below. So in case you have not watched it, the way basically we calculate the intensity detected by an observer is illustrated in a very elaborate manner in that particular 3 videos. So, and I would request you to watch it in order. Part 1 contains more elaboration, part 2 contains a trick, then part 3 is a complete wrap up of the 3. So I would request you to go through them in case you haven't done. So for those who have watched that, this would be a cakewalk, and but small difference you would see is because of the shape of wavefronts being planar. Okay, so here's the question. The kind of wavefronts diagrams that examiners use, I have illustrated on the right just for your perusal. Wavefronts, when they are traveling in planar form, when they are shown in question papers, usually they show them as the side view, which shows the straight lines, as you could see on the right. I'm pointing out. Okay, right. Don't expect them to draw the 3D structures. So let's go with the formal wording of the question. You want to do it on your own, just pause the video here, try it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then mark the correct options. One or more than one may be correct, and then come back and look at the solution. Okay, right. So here's the wording. A large planar source S oscillating at a frequency f0 produces planar wavefronts. So this is the source S. When source S and detector are stationary in the orientation shown, the average rate of acoustic energy intercepted by perfectly absorbing plane surface of the detector is P0. So if these two are at rest and with this orientation that are there, this emits the sound and this detects it, and that average energy was P0. Let the velocity of sound be c, and if in the new case the value of vs, which is the velocity of the source, and vd, which is velocity of detector, moving towards each other, is c divided by phi, the direction of motion shown as in the figure, then which of the following is the correct options? Okay, he's asking about apparent frequency, wavelength of the sound received, rate of the energy intercepted. Like last time, in terms of p0, you have to measure whether it is 1.5 p0 or something else. Then the beat frequency recorded by d is f0 by 2. Okay, so these are the 4 options, right? Give it a try and then go ahead with the solution that I am going to start now. So first, what we'll do is we'll do it in 2 parts. We'll try to investigate what happens when these two are actually at rest. Okay, so this is the page which uh, goes into the understanding of the 2 things at rest. So source, which is this side, the green planar line you could see, and the detector, which is the red planar line here, are at rest right now. Okay, so what I'm depicting here is the source wavefronts which are coming out, which will engulf this entire area here on the plane, are not important. Only the part which is in the area of the detector is important. So I've drawn only those wavefronts you could see. The gap between them I am showing in my picture as it is the gap that is emitted with 1 second time interval. So within 1 second, please understand, if someone says the source is having a frequency f, then in 1 second f pulses will come out. Okay, every 1 second the source will actually give out f pulses, and they will be spread in a length of c meters, and that's, I think, very obvious, right? So in 1 second the velocity of sound would travel it where c meters. Okay, so that's what the idea is. So within the 2 lines that I've drawn, there are many more pulses, and the number of pulses in that gap is f. That's why we say wavelength is the distance between 2 consecutive pulses. So if this gap has f pulses, then each consecutive pulse has a distance of c by f. That's the basic definition of wavelength. Okay, now uh, every 1 second, therefore now detector is at rest, so it will just stay there. In every 1 second all these f pulses will hit it, and the gap of that C meter would be detected by it, and then the power detection happens. So I would just take an estimate of a proportionality, which I'll use in the second case when both are moving. I would claim that the power detected by detector would be dependent on three aspects. One, the power associated with each pulse that is hitting it. Each pulse, whatever that pulse that will be there, will associate a power, and that would be important. Then multiplied by the number of pulses it detects and divided by the unit time that it takes for the detection. For example, the power associated with each pulse is some number. Then here I could substitute a number of pulses as f and the time for detection as 1 second in this situation. Okay, so if I substitute f here, this would be 1 second in this scenario. Let's try to see when these two are moving in the next page, which of these three terms change and therefore the power detected changes. Okay, right. So let's move forward with this thought process. Now this is the case where the source is moving towards right with Vs and the detector is moving towards left with Vd. I have borrowed the formula that I got in the previous page. I wrote it on the top so that we can use it. Okay. Now what happens when the source actually moves towards right, the f pulses that it emits will not be now distributed in C meters because it moves forward as it emits. There will be a gap that is reduced. So now the gap would be not C meters but C minus Vs meters, because in every 1 second sound travels C meters, but the source also moves forward and cramps up all those pulses in a gap of C minus Vs. That's why we say the wavelength reduces here. Okay, so now these gaps will go and hit the detector. So this is the scenario. Now the gaps have reduced. I've tried to show those gaps much smaller than the previous page. If you can appreciate that, right? That was the gap of C and this is the gap of C minus Vs. But number of pulses in 1 second will still be the same. Source will keep emitting. The pulses are like bullets from a gun, and these bullets are still in 1 second F bullets come out. Those F bullets now will be cramped up in a lesser distance is what we are arguing now. So now F pulses are spread in a distance of C minus Vs. So I can do on a sideline calculation of lambda, which is now here C minus Vs by F. If I substitute F originally was C by lambda naught, then you end up having the lambda, which is gap here that would be detected by the detector, would be 4 lambda naught by 5. As I substituted, Vs was given as V by C by 5. Okay, so that's one of the options that you need to go there. Okay, let's go ahead with the power detection, which is slightly more difficult. So once the gap is C minus Vs, and these will be detected in what time? Now here, let's be careful. The time duration for these things to go into the detector will be further reduced because detector itself is moving towards them. Okay, now each of these lines would be moving towards right with velocity c. Remember, they will be moving with velocity. Once the sound goes into air, its velocity is fixed and it is velocity c. So it's almost like the sound is traveling towards detector with c, detector is traveling towards the sound with vd. Therefore the relative velocity of approach between them is c plus vd. So this distance of C minus Vs and F pulses would be covered up in time of this much number. It's almost simple that we have written a distance divided by relative velocity as the time duration. Last time it was 1 second. Now it is going to be this much time in which F pulses will be detected. So if you substitute in the proportionality of the last formula, then power associated with each pulse will not change, right? It's the same powerful pulse that is coming. What changes is how many pulses you are detecting and how much time are you taking. So I'm still talking about number of pulses being F itself, right? In this gap, F pulses are there. So these two won't change. It's the time of detection that actually changes. By what factor? We already said it is this factor, so it's in the denominator. So the new power detected would be 1 by that factor times of old power detected. It rearranges itself in the top, and you end up getting the same factor that you get in Doppler effect. So you don't get a square here. Don't try to think that the power detected would be frequency square. There's no mug-up formula like that. Okay, so this is how basics should be used to solve this problem. So you just substitute Vd is C by 5, Vs is C by 5, so you end up getting 6 by 4 I think, and 3 by 2. So 1.5 P naught is the power detected in comparison to when they are at stationary. So lambda is 0.8 lambda and power is 1.5 P naught. Okay, so there is no beat frequency here. For beat frequency you need two frequencies being detected. Detector just detects only one frequency. So with only one frequency you will never have beats. So with all this information, let's go back and try to mark the options. Okay, apparent frequency recorded by the thing would be the same factor as 1.5, right? The same Doppler effect frequency you'll end up getting this one. The same factor we saw even in the power detector. So C is also right. I think this was wrong because we ended up getting a 4/5 factor. Okay, and beat frequency is an incorrect thing to ask. There's no validity of beat frequency in this because there's only one frequency that is detected. So AC is the correct answer. Okay, so I hope you have liked it. So for those who are new, please make sure that you watch the 3-part video on the spherical wavefront. Slightly more difficult, but it will be on the lines of what I said. It will be solved from basics. There's no mug up formula. You could see the answer in the Pathfinder also here. For spherical wavefronts don't contain a square. Okay, so please go through them. They are very important for your JEE advanced syllabus. Okay, and in case you have liked this, and please go through the other solution series that I have started, which are close to the JEE Advanced, and links of these playlists are in the description below. And please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Do like the video so that YouTube algorithm will recommend the highly liked videos to others, and in that case, my channel will grow, and I would be really grateful to you if you do so. Okay, in case you're new, please do subscribe. In case you're old, please request your friends to subscribe so that we can keep going on producing the quality videos that would definitely be of some help for the students and teachers alike. Okay, thank you. Stay with me for the next video. Thank you very much.